Welcome back, everyone. I hope you're all enjoying yourself at Rethink 2020. We continue to have people register. Just wanted to remind everyone, tonight we have the after party going live at 8:30. We have a DJ dance party, 90s theme, so please come in your best 90s dress. We have Cocktail and Dreams doing cocktail demos. I'll be sending out an email a little later today to let you know what you need to make those signature cocktails with us. And yeah, some more networking, some more fun. And right now, what I'd like you to do is take everyone through virtualization realization. So myself and a few colleagues have been throwing a couple virtual events. We've done up to 5 now, very successfully. And we wanted to share with you our learning so far. So if everyone sees, I've just shared my screen. And I want to thank everyone also for being so patient with me. I'm usually a backstage kind of person. I never really come in front of the camera. So this is something new and different for me. So without further ado, virtualization realization. Oh, totally not working for me. All right. Is going online the right decision? The first question you have to ask, are my attendees going to show up? The answer pretty much from what we found is yes. You can see it by today. We've got a lot of people online with us right now. Recently, 2 weeks ago, we did the Sport Card and Memorabilia Show. We had 4,600 guests with us over the course of 2 days, interacting, having a great time, shopping, trading. It was really a great experience. And the reason is that, like all of us, we're stuck at home. So they're looking for things to do. They're looking to engage in their hobbies. What we're trying to do is bring those communities together. So it's about creating that space for them to get together. The next question you have to ask, will my exhibitors and sponsors come along? Will online work for them? A lot of the time you're going to hear, it just doesn't work for me. How am I supposed to do this? It's no different than when this first events industry, trade shows, consumer shows, how did you convince these people that those were the right places for them? You did it because you had a community of like-minded individuals who are being brought together in one space that happened to play to that market. So whether, it was hot tubs, and so you have to have a hot tub show. How are you going to do that online? Well, a great way to do that is by having a couple cameras, someone in a hot tub talking about how amazing his hot tub is. And hey, well, you're stuck at home. Wouldn't it be great to have a hot tub? So it's about being creative and engaging your exhibitors and sponsors in creative ways and helping them along to understand that this is new for them. This is new for the attendee, and it's exciting. This is something new that they can be a part of. How can you monetize an event, and can you afford not to? So the real question is, can you charge for your virtual event? And so, yes, 100% you can charge your exhibitors for a virtual event. It's the same thing as you do at a regular show. You're doing the work to bring that community together. So that's the first part of it. Obviously, sponsors as well, as long as you're bringing the people through the door. And then in terms of bringing through the people through the door, we've done it in 2 ways. And I like this way is, I think it's the best so far, which is to provide a free ticket for your general audience and then provide extra premium tickets at a paid price. So one, you reach the goal of getting as many people inside your show as possible with that free general audience ticket. But if you have things like premium education, one-on-one experiences, and we can create some amazing experiences that you wouldn't be able to live. So you have to think differently. So there is ways to monetize. Don't worry about it. This isn't a cost loss that you're doing. How long do I have to decide and prepare? You know what? The sooner you decide that you're not going to be able to do your live show in 2020, you should be making that decision that A, you don't want to do anything, or B, you're going virtual, and make that decision right away. Because the longer you have, the better position you'll be in to activate your audience. And we'll get into a little bit more about that afterwards. Engage your stakeholders and educate people about what it is to do a virtual event. Because, and you'll hear this as a theme throughout, going virtual is new for the attendee, for the people running the event, and for the people attending the event. So everyone involved, this is all new. And if everyone has any questions, please just hold it to the end, and I promise you I will get to it. And thank you, Kelly. I appreciate that. So our next thing is you've made the decision and you're going virtual. Next steps, let's jump on in. Connect with all of your stakeholders. And this means all of your exhibitors, all of your association members, if you're doing an event for an association, all of your key sponsors and partners. Find out from your attendees and your communities if they're interested in. Start taking those conversations and making them into viable ideas. Whether it's, this is the price that we think is going to be worth for a booth inside our virtual show. This is the kind of content that we want to produce inside our virtual show. Come with a plan and some kind of idea of what you'd like to do and start presenting it to them. And they'll tell you whether they're interested in it or not. And then you can start to form different plans and things like that. Second part is take stock in all the infrastructure that you have. What kind of website do you have? Does it need to be updated? Is it a very strong website? How large is your mailing list? How large is your social community? How are you contacting your attendees? Are you speaking to them throughout the year? What is the knowledge base of your team? And I think a lot of the times when I talk about infrastructure, people forget that the team and the people that they have within their organization is part of that infrastructure, and their knowledge could be invaluable. They may have been working on whether it's a hybrid or a virtual event or have been to hybrid or virtual events. So look to them and to activate them to help you bring this along. The next thing you have to decide is which type of virtual event do you want to do? Are you looking for a 3D platform that looks very slick? Or are you looking for a 2D platform, which is what we call the platform we're all on now, which is very video-centric. You can see by some of the booths, the networking, very easy to use, very low border of entry. So you have to decide what's the most important. I know for one of our clients, Hopin wasn't the look that they were going for. They're a large corporation. They needed a very slick look, a very corporate look. So we went with Communique, which is another one of the platforms that I'll be talking about a little later. So, as I said before, there's two major styles to these virtual event platforms that we have found through 4.5 months of heavy research. The first style that we look at, and some of you may be familiar with, the 3D style. And some of these platforms that fall into that category are vFairs, Communique, Intrado, Hypefair. Each of these are very pretty, very nice to walk around from, but the cost can be pretty oppressive for some people, and it lacks some of the features that you're seeing inside Hopin. I have yet to see a great networking lounge that we see with the sort of speed dating style that we have going on here. I've yet to see great face-to-face communication between any of the booths and the attendee without having to push out to a Hopin, or sorry, without having to push out to a Zoom or a GoToMeeting or something like that. For the 2D style, there are other options other than Hopin. There's Excel Events, FeedLoop, EventMobi. All these platforms, very good, totally different look. It's more of this style where you have everything, all the navigation on the side like we do on Hopin, and very much more video focused. And it doesn't have the sort of cachet and style that some of those other platforms in the 3D space do. So just to cover, I wanted to really, during my presentation, go over two of these platforms in each of those categories. So the first one I wanted to cover just briefly, and we'll go deeper into this in the Hopin demonstration, but some of the strengths and some of the weaknesses of Hopin. So some of the strengths, the current rates are very reasonable. You can get into their early access plan. It's very reasonable to run an event on them. But that being said, I specifically said current because things are changing rapidly, which brings me back to an earlier point I made. Make the decision to go virtual as soon as possible. One, you're not just, and I should have mentioned this earlier, but, we're used to competing against other events inside our city for space. What we're doing now as event producers is competing against the entire world for space, because this has affected the entire world. Events have been pushed off until 2021. A lot of us are looking for virtual options. So when you talk to some of these platforms, they're booked out until October. They're booked out until September. They're booked out. So making a plan, having a platform in mind is going to be key. I do expect there to be more people entering the space, but having your choice, just like having your choice of venue, is very important to making a great event. Another great thing about Hopin, it's very easy to navigate. As a lot of you are finding as you move around through the event space, very easy to pop through booths, into networking, into sessions, into the stage. I really like how it's laid out in terms of the chats. Very easy for people to find each other. So again, it's really great with that. Fully tested. We have run this platform, as I said, for 4,500 guests. It ran seamlessly, no problems. It was really, really great for that platform. It allowed that community of the sport card and memorabilia community to connect, share, trade, and really make those purchases. And they were missing it because all of their events have been canceled, not just their event in Toronto, but all events across North America. So they were really looking to engage again. Which brings me to the next thing I really love about this is the engaging social features. So in a lot of the different virtual platforms, what you'll find is the chat feature and function is hidden to the side or hidden off screen, or really not what's featured inside the app. What we do as event producers is bring communities together, and when the communities are together, they want to talk, they want to interact. So I think social features such as the networking and the chat are such strong points of this. I also love how that each individual area, so whether it's the stage that I'm talking on right now or some of the sessions that are going on live currently, you'll be able to have an individual chat in there. And then finally, if I want to talk to any one of my friends that I see within the event, I can just go to the people section, click on that person, find that person, and talk to them directly. The last part I really love and want to talk about is there's a high level of autonomy for the show producers. So I don't have to wait for Hopin to come in and tell me how to do anything. I can go and I can figure it out myself. We build out the event ourselves. We build out the booths ourselves. We really have a lot of control through the back end. You may see us change a couple things as the event's going on. So rather than having to talk to a project planner or anything like that, we maintain the control. And as event producers, a lot of us are control freaks, so that's really nice to have. Some of the weaknesses: unreliable tracking and limited tracking metrics. So if you do use Hopin, you'll realize very soon that if you're using their registration system, that their metrics for tracking, because I guess it's still in the early stages. This platform only launched 4 months ago, but I'm used to using some of the wonderful platforms like Tix123 or Microspec that gives me unbelievable great information out there, and what I get from this is just nothing in comparison. There's no ticketing integration. So there's no APIs built into this. If you were looking to run it, say, through a Connexus or a Tix123 or a secondary ticketing or registration system, you would need to have the Pro plan, which is expensive. It's a yearly plan. And if you're looking or interested in that, please speak to Scott or myself. We have that plan and have been utilizing it, but it is expensive, and it's one of the things that I have a problem with. I wish that was an option that you could just buy into. Limited booth customization. So I love the booths on this platform for a lot of reasons, like the ability to show a YouTube video, the ability to bring people on to talk about your product. We've shown people how to be very creative with adding second cameras and showcasing their whole store, running different competitions within their things, inviting guests in and creating content. So there's a lot of creative ways to do it. The downfall is there's not a lot of places for us to upload content. So I can't upload different documents that you'd like to show. I can't upload multiple videos like some of the 3D platforms and some of the other platforms out there. So that's one of the negatives. And then 10% of people have an issue. One of my last weaknesses that I'll bring up is 10% of people have a problem logging into to Hopin for whatever reason, whether it's through having to re-log into their account because they forgot they already had an account, or they're using. And if any of you are using Internet Explorer or Safari, you're probably having some issues with the video. So it's just one of the slight issues that we have with this platform. And you'll find that all virtual platforms that you come across, just like all facilities, will have warts. So it's about working within those warts and being creative and figuring out workarounds. The next platform I wanted to talk to everyone about is Communique. This is a 3D platform, very nice, great to work with. I've only had great experiences with them, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about them specifically here. So just going to some of their strengths, they have a long track record of running virtual events. This is not a fly-by-night company. They've been in existence since 2001. They've often worked with corporate clients, doing large events for multinationals. So that's really what these platforms and similar platforms were built for. They were built for a company like Reckitt Benckiser, who has a worldwide worldwide workforce. Instead of flying everyone in to do a demo or something like that, they'll bring people into these virtual events. So we're now repurposing it for what we have to do. So understand there's going to be some limitations, and you're going to have to be creative. Platform is very easy to use and navigate. You can also customize it. So I really enjoyed looking through some of the platforms. And if you ever want to talk more about it, I can show you basically some slides about just what it looks like and what I mean by the 3D aspect of it. I also like it because it's reasonably priced. Some of the other slick platforms out there, like Intrado, are very good, very competitive, very comparable, up until you get to the pricing. So, where Intrado starts at the $60,000 mark, Communique comes in the $20,000 mark. So it's a much more reasonable purchase, especially because we're all experimenting. Load limit, there's no limit in terms of booth information. So one of the issues that I have with Hopin is eliminated when we go to Communique, because there's the ability to add multiple videos, multiple images, multiple documentation within the booth. But what it lacks, and we'll get to that, is the ability to have that one-on-one video chat that I know my good friend Sheila is doing right now inside her booth. What's also awesome is they are really strong in terms of the production. So they have a great production support team that will help your speakers throughout the process. What's really cool is your speaker will be on the cell phone. It's basically a very old school system, but they're on the cell phone with the tech team, walking them through before the actual stage show happens, to make sure that everything's running correctly and help solve any problems if they come up. So again, just great support there. And throughout the whole process, they have a really good support team. So I really like that about them. And then the final part is the customized look and feel. So what's great is they have, and it runs on the 6Connect platform, but they have about 150 different rooms that then you can go ahead and customize. So for my upcoming for my upcoming All-State Soccer show, we're going to be replacing the people who are very business looking with more fun, family oriented looking people within the scenes, so it looks more friendly. We'll also be changing up our stage to make it look more sporty and just making it look and feel like our event. So, one of these advantages is you can really build out something that looks customized to yourself and separate yourself from some other people who are doing some virtual events. Some of the weaknesses: you are limited, and this is what I mean by rapidly changing environment. If you had booked with Communique a month ago, you wouldn't have this limitation. But if you book right now, you are limited on the 6Connects platform to 100 exhibitors. And that is because of demand. It's just 6Connects has a high level of demand right now, and so they're reaching their capacity, as I think some of the other virtual platforms are. That was one of the big advantages of Hopin. There is no limit. Another problem, and I brought this up before, is the ability to have a native video chat. So I think it's a big miss on some of these 3D platforms not to have that. It's very nice to have those beautiful looking 3D plans, but if there's no content or live action going on in the booth, it's not going to make people stick. So that's some of the problems that I have with it. And I think some of the solutions that they're going to have to figure out, and something that you as an event producer are going to have to talk to your exhibitors about possibly maintaining a Zoom chat if you're using one of these, or maintaining a GoToMeeting where people can actually come and interact. Because at the end of the day, people come to these shows for the face-to-face conversations. If you just wanted to buy something, you could send an email. Limited access to testing. So one of the wonderful things about Hopin and what we were able to do with some of our speakers and some of our guests prior to is run test events leading up. So for the Sport Card and Memorabilia show, we ran 12 different test and demos to teach all of the exhibitors and stakeholders what it was we were doing, what platform we were running it in, and how best to engage the audience. And it was through those demos and education that we were able to create a great show, because they went in with their eyes open. They were able to ask questions. They were able to test things out. And then prior to the event, we built out a full dry run of the event. It's a shame they just don't have the opportunity to do a move-in and sort of see their booth beforehand. But, if you can do a test event 2 days prior, that makes a huge difference to your exhibitors on how they're going to engage. So moving on from here, revenue generation. So this is going to be something that I'm sure is top of mind for a lot of you who are watching right now. How are you going to create revenue? The first step is monetize your existing infrastructure. So some of you are already doing this. Some of you may not. If you're not, this is a great time to start. So one of the ways that you could do that, take a look at your website. Most of us already have an exhibitor or a partnership section. It's time to enhance that, to allow it to become a more of a feature of your site, something that your attendees will go visit for more information. For the Sport Card Memorabilia show, what we did is we asked each of our exhibitors to list out every item they were selling so that people could search in the search that specific tag, and then it would pop up. We asked people if they wanted to buy enhanced listings. So what they were able to do is, instead of just having their logo or link up on the site, they went from a link to a logo and then a description of what they were doing, as well as a lead right back to whatever they were selling. We also did spotlights. So throughout leading up to the event, we would offer, you could buy for $500 a spotlight on the exhibitor page. So you would be, when anyone would log in, you'd be the top spot as a spotlighted vendor. So it's about creating more revenue opportunities within your existing sponsorships or existing infrastructure, like your website, like your newsletter, like your social channels, and maybe it's bringing more stories to your social channels. Thinking about takeovers. And if you're looking at how best to monetize your social channels, take a look at how some of the social influencers do it. They're old hat at making money off of social. There's nothing, there's no reason that we can't learn from them. And then focus on the value of your community. The more you engage and activate your community and the more you're talking to them, the more value they are to your partners, sponsors, and exhibitors. Similar to now when we're talking about specifically our online virtual event, or as I like to call it, live online event, look at your venue. And your venue is similar to your platform. Sorry, your platform is similar to your venue. Go to different events. See what those events are happening on the platform. See how they're monetizing. Get some great ideas from there. Just like you would at a live event. Ask questions to your platform. Say, can I put a logo here? Can I drop a hot link there? It's about thinking about looking at your platform and how can I best use that. For Hopin, there's no broadcast messaging, but if you noticed, I posted a message in the event chat that I pinned to the top. And during the event, what we did is we sold those pinned messages for 3 minutes at a time to different exhibitors and sponsors so they could be highlighted. So again, it's just thinking differently, looking into the platform that you're using, and coming up with ways to engage the audience for your exhibitors. The next thing is be creative. For us, we looked at, we're going live online now. This is going to be a different experience from previous sport card shows. So we felt this was a good time to increase our partnership with eBay. And for the first time, they became the title sponsorship of the event, or title partner of the event. And the reason was it made sense in this new space. So if you take a step back and think about what I'm doing as a show and which of my partners does this make great sense for, and how can we increase that partnership by activating them within the space. And we did that by hosting some demos for them, by allowing them to have their own session room for exhibitors to come in and meet for health checks. Just think about your customer's need. Again, this isn't so different than what we're already doing. It's just adapting it to the new space that we're doing it in. The other thing is where your priority placement is going to replace, or not replace, but change from, I want to be at the front door of the show to I want to be the first booth listed. So where you're listed in the expo hall, whether it's in Hopin or another platform like that, from the top down matters for how people are going to engage you as an attendee to a booth. So obviously that's a great way to create some revenue by saying, you know what, you want to be the top list. You have to be a sponsor. You have to be part of, you have to buy this much money, or you have to have this amount of spend, just like you would for some of your sponsors in your events. So there's some real value into being placed at the top of the list. And you can explain that to your expo members, and again, try to create revenue from that. The last part is provide additional services. So whether that's by offering video production, by offering rental kits. If you see behind me, you can't really see it now, but behind me I have 10 of these microphones and another 10 of a high-end webcam that I use for streaming, and we're renting it out for $375 a kit. And those kits, what they do is they help our exhibitors put their best foot forward. They help us create a little more revenue. And at the end of the day, everyone's a winner for something like that. The next part is, I see documentation in here, but it's more, that was a typo by myself, but that's more just helping them store their documentation, create their documents, help them with their creative. It's really, you're replacing some of the stuff that our GSC, general service contractor would normally do for us. you're sort of taking that role on now for your end consumer. Okay, next step. This is new for everyone. So I was just talking to Michelle Kaufman in the networking lounge, and she was saying I'm having a really hard time convincing my exhibitors on why it makes sense for them to come into this. And that's understandable. It's just like the first time you sold a brand new show. Why do I want to be there? Can I be successful there? How do I even do it? So understand that your stakeholders, this is going to be new for them. So you're going to have to be very patient. And it's important that you spend a lot of time making yourself the expert on it. So spend a lot of time researching, make sure you're comfortable with whatever you're talking about before you go and speak to your stakeholders, because you're only going to get one shot at this. And if you don't sound confident and comfortable with what you're doing, why should they have the belief in what you're doing is right? And then have patience. Know that whoever you sell into this is going to have a lot of questions. Way more questions than you would ever get at a normal show. And be patient and ready to answer them. Steve, thank you so much for that comment in the stage chat. And yeah, it's understanding that your audience is going to be nervous, scared, as well with many of this, with anything new, it's a little bit scary. So be there with patience, be there with a smile, and be there to guide them along, whether it's your sponsor, exhibitor, your partner, or your client. For some of us, like we were for Steve. Support everyone. Everyone is new to this, and that's the theme of this real demo. Is this is brand new, so understand that and come in with that mind frame. Expertise, make yourself an expert. Do the research or hire someone who has already done it, because like I said, it's going to be important that you exude confidence when you're coming out with this. People are nervous, unsure. They're going to be looking to you to be confident about this new experience that you're going to be leading them on. So make sure you know your stuff. Practice makes perfect. Let them see, touch, and feel it. Whether it's your exhibitors or sponsors, make sure they are comfortable with the platform, because that you, like your show live, are only as good as the people who are taking place in it. So whether it's your speakers, your content providers, your sponsors, or your exhibitors, if they don't know how to use the system or they're having trouble with it, it's going to show poorly on the event itself. And so it only hurts you, and it only benefits you to do this, because it'll save you work in the long run. So just something to think about. And engage people. Engage them from their point of view. Understand that they might be nervous. Engage your community. Engage every single person you can. Earlier today, you heard Jory talk about how he's talking to all of his sponsors and things like that, so that doesn't go stale. That's important for your exhibitors. That's important for your community. And it's more important now than ever before. And then one last note is be there, because if you're not there in this space for a full year, there's going to be someone who is. And I don't know if your community is going to come back to you if you're gone for a year or two waiting for this to blow over. So being present, being in the space is really important. Get in early. Start the conversation early. It's really important that you get going on this as soon as possible, and you keep hearing me hammer on these notes because these are so important. As I said, again, this is new to everyone, so there's going to be a high learning curve for everyone to get over, and that's going to take a lot of work and time on your part. Your exhibitors and sponsors are your best friends. Treat them as such. Treat them well, because they are going to be the ones who are going to support you down this. And if they're not supportive of you, then you don't have an event. So be supportive of them. Be understanding of their apprehension of maybe coming into something like this, and then be there for questions and be there for support. So, that's really important. And then the second part to that is they're going to be very influential in getting attendees to this. So whether it's your sponsor or your exhibitors, You know, in years past, it's, you know, someone was in Alberta. It didn't make sense for them to promote for a Toronto show. There is no barrier to entry now. So every exhibitor, every community can promote and be a part of bringing people out to the event itself. Tell a story with your marketing. You know, tell a story of what the content is, of what you're going to be providing. Utilize your videos. You know, I've been preaching this to clients for a while now, but if you have speakers coming in, get them to come and do a quick, you know, 30-second hit or 30-second video for your social, for your website. If you're doing audience meet and greets, record a faux meet and greet so audience can see what this new style of meet and greet is going to be like, because how can they purchase something they don't even know what it's going to be like? So make sure to tell the story and fill people in on what to expect. Now you're ready to go live. Pick a date and have a good time. The key also to running and we'll get into some of the keys of running a successful event is, you know, and this is something I didn't bring up and I forgot to mention in my slides. Staffing is so important. You will find you are going to need almost more staff than you would at a live event. And the reason being is you do not have line of sight. So, you know, where you are in a 100,000 square foot show, you can see from one end to the hall to the other if you stand on something a little bit taller. It's very easy for your team to talk to you over walkie-talkie. It's very easy to get to a problem very quickly. You can see problems as they're forming. Here, you are in a box. You are isolated. You can talk to your team. Right now, my team is running this through a WhatsApp chat, and we are also utilizing the backstage chat if there's any emergencies. But, you know, I essentially need someone positioned in each room or each session that's going on to make sure that they're being taken care of. And then the second thing is your exhibitors need the support. So when we go back to that, you know, and as I mentioned, support is going to be key. So for our event, for Sport Card and Memorabilia Show, we made sure for every exhibitor, for every 5 exhibitors, we had one support person, because what we didn't want is someone to be stuck with a problem, whether it was accessing video or their content or anything like that, and have to wait more than a couple minutes before they could speak to someone. Because that frustration, the more they wait, the more the frustration will build, the worse experience they're going to have, and that will translate to bad experiences for the attendees. So just something to keep in mind. I talked about this before. You got to be activating your community. Start talking to them now. Start working with them now. Even if you don't have anything planned for them, what are you doing? Start speaking to them. Start utilizing your sponsors. Start promoting your exhibitors. A great example of that was what One of a Kind has been doing and has done for their exhibitors to showcase them. You know, and all shows can do that. So one of the other things that I really found that's been really cool is, you know, the Bud Light stage and what Bud's done for their concert series and MLSE has done for their concert series, which is take it from a 60,000 person stadium, which was sold out for the season. And now they're running it live for free on YouTube, as well as City TV. And so they've taken their audience of 60,000 people, and now they're up into millions. So there's some more value there. And they were engaging their community, understanding that there's a need for music and entertainment, and filling that need. Create engaging content. So it's going to be super important that you have good content going on throughout the show, during the show. If you want people to stick, there has to be good stuff going on. So whether it's talks on the stage, good booths going on, and those booths have to be full. Like it's just like going to a live event. If you go to a live event and half the booths are empty, you're going to walk out real quick. So the same holds true for virtual events. Live content is also really important. Why would people come to see recorded content when they can just watch that on YouTube? They're looking for the live experience. So just make sure and be very aware of that. And again, try to get one-of-a-kind announcements, product releases, specials, things like that. Just like our live events, you know, make it a real reason to come into the event. There's a lot more ways, and we can go through this if anyone wants to talk to me specifically. I promise I'm very available to speak anytime. You can reach me on LinkedIn, Gmail, and I'll put my information up here, and I'll share this afterwards as well. But yeah, please feel free to reach out. One of the awesome things also is you are now a worldwide show. If you were a regional event, get ready because you are open to the whole world. Your barriers to enter the show are far smaller than they were before because no one has to get on a plane. No one has to rent a hotel room. So yeah, low barriers for guests. And now those national and international partnerships that maybe you weren't able to utilize to their full potential are much more valuable to you, and vice versa. You're much more valuable to a national partner because, you know, like I said, you're no longer a regional show. You're now a national brand. Which brings us to the end of our demo. If anyone, or my demonstration on virtualization, realization, if anyone has any questions, please feel free to shoot it in the stage chat. If not, and you just want to talk to me directly, you can write to me, and I'll share my email right now. Or you can find me on LinkedIn, and I'll share that right now with everyone. But yeah, please feel free to ask. And coming up, we have a couple more sessions on health and wellness, conversations with convention centers, and then Scott and myself doing an honest demo of Hopin. So thank you again to everyone, and I appreciate everyone coming out, and we will see you very shortly.